Hey, everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Good morning, everybody.
And the podfather of gaming, Stephen Bonacore. Yo.
Oh, my.
We allowed you to sleep in an extra hour this week. We started at 9 last week, if you remember. We're back to 10. Oh, wow, the cup of coffee gets bigger. Pretty soon it's going to be the whole screen.
When you hold it closer to the camera, it does get bigger.
It does. It
phenomenal.
gets bigger. And
Look
bigger.
at that. It's a giant cup of coffee.
That's bigger than your head. That's huge. Anyhow.
Not as big as your ego. Go ahead.
Welcome. Oh, are we doing this? To Board Game Breakfast, everybody. Where we talk about board games and all things related. This particular Board Game Breakfast has a contest. We are sponsored by Breaking Games, and they have on Kickstarter right now asking for Troubles and the expansion to this game. It's a worker placement game that I think quite highly of, actually. Z's played it.
I have, but I mean, they have a quote from you on there that I think says, I think quite highly of this game. I literally might say that. But I do like it.
For them this time.
Okay, good. They didn't have to pull one. That's better. Yeah, it's a good game. I definitely recommend it. It's a fun, vibrant game, very engaging.
Yeah, so it actually can handle quite a few players. It's 2 to 7 players, worker placement type style game. There's all kinds of new spaceships asking. You're essentially collecting resources to get rid of Troubles. They're annoying aliens that show up and sit in front of you in the movie theater and throw popcorn in the air and stuff like that. So we're giving out 2 copies of this here. This is for people in United States, Canada, UK, Europe, and Australia. That's a lot of places.
Probably 99% of your listeners. Okay.
Maybe a little bit less.
95.
To answer this, you just need to email us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject, put Troubles. That's Trobills. That's what the name of the aliens are. And you need to answer this question. If you go to the Kickstarter, the link is in the description below. How many different people are quoted in the scene where the narrator, Eric, says Dice Tower Seal of Excellence in the main Kickstarter video? So I guess you would have to pause it there and see how many people are quoted. So, and you also put your name and address in the email, and you have 2 weeks to enter this contest. By the way, I'm mentioning it in different spots. If you win one of our contests, we'll email you and let you know. So if you don't get the email, that means you didn't win, unfortunately. But we are working on and should have available within a week or two a contest page where we will be listing all the winners for our different contests. So hopefully that will help everybody out. And we'll share the link once it's finished.
And on there, we will publish their name, their address, social security number.
Yeah. Well, that's how you get to them, right? Use the social security number, and then when you get a call and you give your password out to the person on the phone, of course.
Correct. That is how you contact.
Do not do that. And when I say that, do not do that. Okay.
Also, we want to give a shout out to some of our Kickstarter backers. We want to say thank you to Chris Ungro and Nayan Kim. We want to say thank you to Steven Zepkia and to Pablo Ribas from Merida in Mexico.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
National folk, thank you very much. And with that being said, folks, we have a lot of contributors and different things going on. Let's get started right now.
DVG and Pavlov's house. 3 different sections to this game. Super easy. Solos incredibly well. Why? Because it's a solo game. But you can play it multiplayer. Whatever. Let's look into it. So basically, Pavlov's house is you gotta take care of your resources. Food, ammo, communications. Right? On the right side of the board, it's where you place all your anti-aircraft stuff. You supply Pavlov with food and ammo. Privyet! Then, in the middle, it's the Germans. Schnell, schnell, raus, schnell! They try to disrupt everything that you're trying to supply. Oh my god, so now, what do? Defend more? You give more food? You know what? Let's defend. Commissar! Pavlov and his men are dying of hunger! But the Germans just shellacked you. Let's give him food. Niet, we need guns! But the Germans just shellacked you again. Okay, so let's defend. With what, comrades? Sandwiches? They're moving in close to Pavlov's house. They're inside the house. What do? You see, all the drama, that's the dilemma or dilemmas that you're going to have. Because it's basically a state of siege game where on the right side of the board, you amalgamate all your resources. Like it's a resource management thing, right? But then you have to draw a card. This is a card-assisted game. To draw the AI card, the Wehrmacht, the Nazis, where they destroy stuff. So if you weren't ready with supplies, a plane just flew over and bombed that ship or whatever, train full of supplies. So the left side of the board, well, that's Pavlov. He's got nothing now. And then it's your turn again. And you resupply. And in the middle of the board, what happens? The Germans are inching closer to Pavlov's house. Which is you. What do you got in terms of resources? Food? You got telephones? You got guns? So after the setup's done, here at Pavlov's house, the fight has begun already. So we go to the right-hand side, and you draw 4 cards. And on each of those cards, there are 2 actions that you can take. You're allowed 3 actions, and you can only take 1 action per card, which is divided into 2 options. So I choose the bottom one, the 32nd Guards Artillery Regiment. What I can do is I can remove a disrupted token from 10 or 11, or put an artillery token on the 32nd box for artillery. Now it's the Germans' turn. And they could get a card like that, and it says 3. That's 3 dice. Which area? 1 to 4 or 5 to 6? I'll show you. So we roll our die. We got 2. So 2, the artillery blasts this spot. So that's the basic gist of the game. Obviously, it's a little bit more involved in that, a lot more involved in that. And it's a lot of fun because you're allocating resources here, and something happens, it's taken away, and these guys are dying and helping. A lot of fun. Pavlov's House. David Thompson. Designer. Publisher. DVG.
Hey, it's Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Halloween is coming up soon, so I want to recommend my favorite Halloween game out there, Horrified. Boom! Oh! Oh, come on, man. Why would you do that? Because it's funny. It's funny to you. I'm sitting over here with a heart beating out of my chest. Yeah, well, I didn't really think about you, just how funny it would be for me. Yeah, I can tell. This is a great Halloween game because it comes with a bunch of monsters from old classic Halloween movies like Dracula or The Mummy. Actually, why don't we hear from Frankenstein's monster himself what he thinks of the game? I totally agree. In Horrified, you are traveling around a map gathering items to defeat monsters while ferrying townspeople to their safe spots. This is a great family Halloween game because it has various difficulty levels. You can play it at easy, medium, or hard, which, works for different age groups. And it's also cooperative, which I think is the best thing for a family because then you don't have to get mad and start a fight being competitive. I want to play competitive games with my mother, but I can't play them because she's too competitive. Oh, she'll try to claim that she's not, but even how she claims she's not competitive is competitive. She's like, what? I'm not competitive, you're competitive. You're the competitive one here, not me. I'm less competitive than you, Grant. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay, you're not competitive.
All right. Well, we are now in the final parts of the year. So all the games that are coming out this year are pretty much being announced at this point in time, especially with the ending of Spiel Digital, which we'll talk about at the very end here today. But we'll start out with some new games. First of all, from Z-Man, we have a cooperative prehistoric game called Paleo. This is a cooperative venture with Hans im Glück. We actually, I think Z has this copy. The Dice Tower copy, I mean. So, yes.
Yes, he does. He's very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. It actually looks really good.
It does.
It does look very, very good.
Well, Mike was asking me,
sort of like...
Is this the first time that Hans im Glück has done a co-op game?
I'm sure it's not, but they don't do very many. And this one seems to perhaps end up being a lighter Robinson Crusoe, maybe, is kind of what I've heard. I know that there are modules in there so there's a lettered decks of cards A through G or something, and you'll only use some of them depending on the game you're playing. So when you first open it, which I just unboxed, you think it's gonna be. It almost gives you this vibe of like, don't open these decks. There's actually cards that say that. Like, this one here says, stop, don't shuffle these, don't look through these, don't spoil it. I'm like, what, is it a legacy game? It's not. But, if you don't look through the cards very carefully, you do sort of, you can save the surprise, so to speak. Looks great.
I like the theme. Very different. Clans, prehistoric times, trying to help each other out.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool idea.
All right, I'm going to continue to mention this because we have a stake in this one. And the newest game in Dice Tower Essentials, Freedom 5, is on Kickstarter now with Arcane Wonders in conjunction with Greater Than Games, because they're using the Sentinels of the Multiverse characters on this cooperative game, which is kind of a descendant of Defenders of the Realm. We play this live on our channel, so you can see more than that. The Kickstarter is doing pretty well, actually. So there's still a lot of time left, so you can check that out. Freedom 5.
Sentinels of the Multiverse, very rich universe. It's nice to see another board game, and it's interesting to see a collaboration. I didn't know that this was happening between two American publishers. Very cool.
Yeah, well, it took a while to put together.
Yeah,
this has been in the works for years, actually.
Not something that would normally happen. So, yeah, I can imagine. Cool.
All right, Grail Games has an expansion for Reiner Knizia's Yellow and Yangtze, which is a sequel to Tigris and Euphrates. Essentially, it's Tigris and Euphrates with an extra color and hexes instead of squares.
Is that where the yellow name part of it comes? I don't. It was just I didn't know that. I never heard of this game.
Tigris and Euphrates are two rivers, and so is Yellow and Yangtze, the Yellow River and the Yangtze River.
Okay, now I got it. Okay. No
great,
comment.
Great art. And it just has more modules. So this is coming. Did they say when this is coming? I don't know when it's coming, but I don't know if they're kickstarting it or not. They're also doing a Yellow and Yangtze card game, which is a reprint of his 2006 Great Wall of China, which I am struggling to remember if I even played this game. Did you see this one, Z, from Fantasy
Sure,
Flight?
I used to own this. I played it. You'd play cards that had the Great Wall in the back and then a person standing in front of it, and they had different powers on them. It's fine. I'm sure they're gonna rework it. I don't know how they're gonna, what they're gonna do with it, but yeah, sure. I was actually kind of surprised this wasn't back in print already. It is Reiner Knizia, so I could see this getting a little extra shine and love and coming out and doing fine. It's not a bad game.
Huh. Yeah, I've never played it. Huh.
Don't know it. I'm surprised it was a Fantasy Flight game, and I never heard of it. So interesting.
Yeah, this came in the silver line, really.
Easy to miss.
Yeah, the small one.
Yeah, I have most of the silver line, and I don't have this.
Well, now you can get it.
Not really. You're not going to get this version of it, You're going to get a different one. You're still going to have to hunt this down.
Yeah. No problem.
All right. Well, also from Grail Games, Medici Reformation, and another Reiner Knizia game here. This is a sister game to Medici. So Medici is one of the games that's been reprinted by more companies than I can count, I think.
Yeah.
It's like 7.
So I don't know anything about this game.
I can't count very high, see?
That's what I meant, Tom. That was the joke.
I don't know anything about this sister game, but Medici is one of the great auction games, one of the classic game. Played it, find it. Medici just streamlined, great, love it. So it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do with this.
I hate it, but I do understand that a lot of people like it.
No, it's a great game. You're wrong. As usual, you're wrong.
All right. Then we have another Grail game coming, but this one's not Knizia. This is from Franz Benno de Long, called Fjords. And, oh my goodness, if you look at this slide here, the difference between those two covers, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the new one, they do say the new one's not quite final, but clearly, if they're even going with that in the realm of that new image, it's a visual improvement.
That's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
So have you played this one, Tom?
I have.
I don't think so. Have you?
Yeah, sure. I used to own this too.
Man, I am totally out of it today. This is the Z Plays Game Show.
Yeah.
This is a good game. It's a 2-player tile laying game. Very small design originally with a little, it's a little island building vibe, area control, where you control the board while you built it. Very nice game. Charming. Very tiny though. And so they're reworking it to make it work up to 4 players now. I'm assuming just include more tiles.
Yep.
I don't know what else they're doing to mix it up. I mean, I know that they're doing
adding 5 mini expansions from Phil Walker Harding.
Yeah, that's very exciting. That is really, really cool. So even though at one point I did get rid of this many years ago, 12 years ago, I'm very happy to see this again. And I know it's one that's the prices on the original printing are ridiculously high. So good that this is coming back.
This is interesting because the designer of this game has passed away.
Oh yeah,
almost like a decade ago.
Sure.
So I'm curious who has the rights and is controlling the games for him, but I'm glad to see this come back.
Yeah, he passed away 13 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So another game from Grail Games. Grail Games has a lot of the news today, this has an amazingly cool cover. This is Chu Han, a 2-player game from Tom Lehmann.
This so I was looking through the before the show. Okay, that's an interesting cover. All right. And then I got to this and I was like, that horse and that rider is like coming off the page. I would play and be drawn to this game just to look at that art. That's cover. Gorgeous art.
The only thing I don't know if I like them splitting the name of the game.
I don't care about that.
This is
just beautiful.
I think that looks cool. It is 2 words.
It is sort of 2 words.
Yeah, you're right. It is 2 words.
And it's Tom Lehmann. He's got 2 names too, so it makes sense to do it like that.
I like the cover. I think it's a fantastic, action-packed. I mean, like you said, it's leaping off the cover.
I love that. I want to write that horse right now.
The dirt flying in the background, like the kinetic energy of that cover is fantastic.
I know nothing about this game. I want to play this game to look at that art more. 2-player climbing card game, like ladder climbing.
I thought at first when I was going through this, I saw this a few days ago. When I was going through it all, they kept talking about reprint Great Wall of China, reprint Fjords, reprint this, and then I got to this one with this Asian theme. I was like, are they reprinting that Tom Lehmann game that was called like Middle Kingdoms or something, with a little kind of like built-in bidding going on, right? But no, that was a multiplayer game that came out from, I want to say Z-Man Games some time ago, and that one just vanished. But this sounds exciting too, and right now I'm on a Tom Lehmann high. He's been killing it, so I'm excited to see what this is.
Good guy too.
All right, stop name dropping, man.
He's a good guy. He's a friend.
Well,
we get it, all right?
You're not a friend
What's it like to hang out with Reiner Knizia? Oh.
So Ravensburger.
Sick of this guy. I'm drinking from a massive cup.
Ravensburger is a huge company, but one of their brands of the company is Alea, which has made very gamery games. Probably the most famous is Puerto Rico. Stefan Brook was the head of Alea, and he left the company midway through this year. Now they have Andre Mack, has led development on their family games line and is now in charge of Alea. So, got any business insight on this, Mr. Bonacore?
Yeah, Stefan Brook and we hung out. No, I don't know. Not know Andre Mack or Stefan Brook. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ravensburger, maybe just to point out to everybody out there, Ravensburger is like the Hasbro of Germany. They're a huge company, not quite that big, but it's a much smaller country. So they are, unlike Hasbro, which Hasbro certainly has hobby games because of their divisions. Ravensburger has a good number of hobby games that come up, and then they have mass market as well. It's sort of like,
well, they also have a huge puzzle division.
Yes. So they really kind of almost mirror kind of what Hasbro does in the U.S. But,
well, there's some pretty extensive inroads in America too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, and then Hasbro is in Europe as well, and in Germany as well. So yes, absolutely.
Well, speaking of Aaliyah and Ravensburger, Carpe Diem, one of the prettiest games ever. Okay, I can't even say that. But Carpe Diem is being redone with new graphics in 2021. Can they get better, Z?
Yeah, they can get better. Talking about this game just makes me sad. Talk about botching a game release. Sorry, I just had something come through because I just put on the YouTube. Anyway, this one came out. It was ugly. There were some graphical issues. Like 3 months later, they had a second edition in which they changed some of the graphics. They changed one major mechanism in the game. They reprinted it in an unmarked box. So you could not tell between the first and the second, and they were different. Now they're doing it again with a different box. I don't know what they're changing. It's just, again, I'm not kidding. It kind of makes me sad that this game was fumbled.
Yeah, well, maybe this new one will get it back out there.
Yeah, but how many times do I have to buy the same game? I'm not going to buy the same thing 3 times. Enough,
If there's no change to the game design, just don't rebuy it. Just live with.
Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do, Bonacore. All right, why don't you go hang out with Knizia?
You need to be told what to do.
All right, let's talk about board game stores. So Geek Retreat is a fast-growing UK chain of comic and game stores, and they plan to open 100 new stores over the next 2 years. That seems crazy expansion.
Yeah, and this is I added this one to the news. So this is UK only. They're putting 100 new game stores out in just the next 2 years or year or something crazy like that. So this is a really cool thing, certainly if you're in the UK, but also they're investing in the game community. They're making a statement saying, we're back. The retail store, the gaming hobby game store is back, and I'm excited to see this and to hear what how this works out. So I'll be following them and as they open these new stores. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's comics and games. Yeah, it says right now the biggest comic chain has been Forbidden Planet chains. I think we went to that when we were in London, Z.
No, they have I don't know. They have a Forbidden Planet in New York that I'm aware of. I've been to that one.
Well, we went to a really large game comic
probably
store.
Been to that, right?
Well, of course I was there because it's one of the most important ones in New York City, and I kind of lived there for half my life and went there for work constantly. So, yes, Forbidden Planet. I didn't know that they were actually in the UK. I didn't even know if they're related stores. But I'm excited about this, that they have decided that they're going to go all in, put up 100 new stores. Like that's astonishing, and
especially think that during the pandemic.
When you think that the landmass of England, there's England alone, of course, then you have Wales and Scotland. England is the size of New York State.
In Florida.
I doubt that the United Kingdom, don't get mad if I'm wrong. The United Kingdom is not as big as like all of Florida. So,
yeah, but we live in Florida, so you should stop acting like a New Yorker now. You're Floridian. No, but come on, dude,
it's always a thing that England is about the size of New York, the state. So it's small. The fact that they could say
it's about as big as the important parts of Florida.
Oh, okay. Let's move on here.
Let's move right on here. Moving right on.
No, is that too much? Oh, excuse me. Look who's a Floridian all of a sudden.
So, the biggest announcement probably of last week, game-wise, was Fantasy Flight announcing Descent for real this time rather than just showing it as a pretend oof in a non-live video. But anyhow.
They were definitely live. They were definitely live, and they just oopsied.
Right, for sure. So Descent, this is a new version of Descent. It's called Legends of the Dark, and they talked about this for well over an hour, of which I listened to a good chunk of it, but not all of it. They said very specifically this is not a third edition of Descent, even though they're calling it Descent, which I find to be confusing, because if it's not a third edition of Descent, I would call it a different name.
Well, here's my take, and I actually sent this over to you too, and I normally don't cover games, like on Board Games Insider. We do like industry news. But when I saw this, I had two takeaways on it. First takeaway is that if this game does well, this is a fully cooperative game with an app that's, I think, going to do like the Overlord stuff, at least partly.
It's going to be, yeah, from what I can tell, it's more like Mansions of Madness and their Lord of the Rings game.
Okay, but it's a fully cooperative game versus Descent, second edition, which is still out there and still in print from what I can tell, which is like a one versus many, right? The Overlord is the dungeon master and they're putting stuff out. So they're moving, they went to this fully cooperative. If this thing does well, I think it deprecates second edition Descent. They just stop printing it if this does well. That's my guess. Second thing that I got out of this, did you see what the MSRP is on this game?
Yes, it's $170.
$175. Welcome, board gamers, to the new norm. That's $175. There hasn't been a game that I know of that has come out from any body of an important, not Kickstarter where you can get these ridiculously blown out things, but like a game that's going to go out to all the shops, $175 MSRP.
Wow.
Right, but here's what I think happened. From what I could see from when they were talking about it, they basically said, we saw all these Kickstarter dungeon crawls, so we're going to try our hand at basically making a Kickstarter game. If you look at it, it looks like a Kickstarter game.
By the way, I think this is a great thing that they're doing this. This helps, I got publisher mentality, of course. This helps all publishers be able to get into a higher price point. They, Asmodee, Fantasy Flight have constantly driven the price point up. It helps everybody else. Now, yes, any given gamer might say, I can't afford that. Okay, that's legitimate. But if other publishers can stay in this business because they can get an extra $5 or $10 and an MSRP level, that's a good thing for other publishers. It's interesting that they're doing this.
Here's my concern with it. The price point is what it is. It's like about $140 once you start taking discounts off from finding it and such, but it's still pretty high. I look at this, and the one thing Descent had going for it was it had a dungeon master versus players. There is already 20 to 30 big dungeon crawlers on the market, almost all of them through Kickstarter. This one has to stand out amongst those. Sure. They are basically saying this is only part one. They're very clear on that this is part one of a bigger campaign that you're going to play through. The art on this, they took some chances. I think the art, I personally don't like it. I hate the box. Both the design and the cover don't look good to me. But the app part sounds interesting. It looks good, but they better differentiate this from the many, many other ones that are out there.
Box looks great. I disagree. The artwork itself, stylized, interesting. I don't dislike it. It's of a style that I've seen before, and it's okay. It's good.
This is as close as he gets to say I don't like something. He's like,
no, that's not true. No,
thank you, Eric.
If I don't like something, I usually keep my mouth shut. I don't dislike this. It's just a stylized art, and I can't think of the artist that does this type of art. It's pretty famous. He did a bunch of different games recently, and I just can't think of it.
I'm just saying that if this is the same as all the Kickstarter ones, why would I get this when I can back a Kickstarter project for $170 and I would get the base game and a kabillion mini expansions?
I'm not interested on that level. I'm interested on the level going to go out because they've that great distribution. They're going to put it $175. That's an interesting point, and I want to see what the ramifications of that are. And then my second point was about then they'll get rid of the other Descent, which is like half the price, a little more than that. But anyway, interesting. It's just an interesting idea they're coming out with this.
Well, we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to find out when we play the game. So that's being released next year. We'll see it then. All right, the Charles S. Roberts Awards are probably the premier wargaming awards that are out there, although the last time they happened were in 2012. And they just announced the winners for 2019, and there's a whole lot of them. We won't go through the list. You can find them on the website. But one of the games that kind of swept the awards and did win War Board Game of the Year is U-Boot, the board game. And that blew my mind because I played the War Game of the Year.
Wow. How did you like it? I saw that too when I look at this.
I like it. It feels almost like a video game that's also a board game. You're just different members of a ship, and you're going through and taking a submarine around and shooting at stuff. And some of it, you press buttons on the screen and shoot the missiles off. But it's very Euro-y. That's why I was surprised it won War Game of the Year. It has a war theme, but there's worker placement, there's resource allocation. I'm pleased by this, actually.
The winner will be... Maybe next year the winner will be Memoir 44 Second Edition. You know what I mean? With an app implementation. That's coming. You heard it here first, folks. You can quote me on... Don't quote me.
All right, folks. We got some big news now. There's 2 new companies that have just entered the arena. The first is Darrington Press. This is... headed up by Ivan Van Norman, but it's basically from a very popular YouTube role-playing series called Critical Role. I know they're popular because we went to Gen Con. They are by far the biggest panel that's held there. And so even though they are role players, they're getting into the board game industry. Their first game here, you can see on the screen, Ukatoa. I got to be honest, this is not the kind of look I would want from a premier game from a company. I hope it's a good game, but it just looks like a bunch of meeples on hexes.
I like the cover. I like the cover on this quite a bit.
The cover's cool, and the card artwork looks cool.
Yeah, the board looks unfinished, and I'm hoping it is. But
they're just very standard meeples and kind of brown board. Am I allowed to say that I really like Ivan Van Norman? I'm allowed to say that I know him and he's an awesome guy.
You're allowed to say anything you want, Steve.
All right.
He's working with Geek and Sundry for a bit.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love this guy.
And he's a fantastic person, and I have high hopes for this company. But I don't know. I don't think they're doing Kickstarter. They didn't mention that. But this first one's not coming. This first one's not coming out till Q1 2021, and it looks like they got one scheduled for each quarter of next year.
Oh wow, that's a pretty big move.
Good. Yeah.
Good on them. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do.
I'm really happy for Ivan Van Norman. He's a good guy from what I've heard.
So the other big company he started is War Chief Gaming. Now, unfortunately, we have less information on exactly what's coming from War Chief Gaming, but this is started from Chris Metzen and Mike Gilmartin, and these are both ex-VPs of Blizzard Entertainment. Blizzard Entertainment, actually, there was a contingent of people from Blizzard at Dice Tower West this year, if you remember.
Really?
Playing games.
No. Did not know.
I'm sorry, hang on. Well, I know them. No.
Your face.
I did get a chance to talk to a few of the guys, and they like board games. It was fun, but these guys are starting a new company now. From what I can tell, I watched their video. They were very oblique, I think, on purpose. But it sounds like it's going to be miniature gaming.
Okay.
But still, these are, this is some heavy hitters, I think, coming into the board game industry.
From electronics. So that is kind of cool. I like to see that.
All right. Finally, we have the report from Spiel Digital. There's certainly a lot of varied reactions to Spiel Digital. I've been reading all the publishers. I just finished reading yesterday Ignacy Trebuchek's opinion on it. He had a slightly higher opinion than other publishers did. Some publishers loved it. Some just did not like it. I'm sure we'll find out as time goes by what people think of it. They said there was 148,000 individual visitors, The live streams recorded more than 1 million hits, they said. And Tabletopia went up. And basically, this is a very, very strong puff piece of it did amazing.
Right.
It's interesting. You said Ignacy had a very high opinion of it.
No, I did say that. I said he had a higher opinion than many others I saw.
Yeah. We've already covered this twice now, because we covered it, like, we did a show right on Sunday when it closed. So we recorded right there because we wanted to get that fresh experience from him. And then we recorded another show that'll drop in a week from now. And he's pretty negative on it, or generally not very positive. It depends on which aspect of the whole thing that you're talking about. Let's put it this way. If you've been to the Spiel, if you've been to Essen, obviously this had no relation whatsoever to that experience. I mean, not even, this is a click fest, right? So you're not at the show. And I love these people that put it on. They're so much better organized than the American shows. Let's just stop it there. I won't be negative. They're great, but this was just, it was just hard to get into. It was hard to get into for me.
All righty. Well, we are going to keep moving here, folks. We got a couple more contributors, and then we'll be back with our game show. That's what's in the news.
Hi, I'm Ambi, and today I'm going to talk about 9 Lives Rogue and Write, which is a roguelike roll and write game. In 9 Lives, you'll be moving around a grid of spaces by marking X's in each space, and you'll be doing this over the course of 9 rounds or lives of these cats. Each turn you're going to have a new cat, and you roll a couple dice to see where they start on the grid, and then you'll be rolling 5 dice for their turn. For each die, you get to choose whether you're upgrading things or moving the cat, and what you rolled determines what you're allowed to upgrade or which direction you're allowed to move. After you've used up all 5 dice, then your turn ends and that cat dies, and then you start a new turn with a new cat until you've gone through 9 turns or all 9 cat lives. On the map, there are a bunch of different icons, and when you move onto one, you get a treasure chest if you've upgraded to that specific icon. But if you haven't upgraded there, then you don't get anything. And once you've been to a space, you can never go back to that space again with any of your 9 lives. So you want to make sure you upgrade things before you go to spaces in order to get treasure chests and points. But you're not going to have enough turns to upgrade everything, so you need to balance out upgrading just enough to get the good points for moving around, because you'll get more points by moving around and getting the treasure chests. Also, at the beginning of the game, there's 2 random end goal conditions that are determined that give you extra points based on how you've moved around the dungeon. So that will affect how you want to move around or upgrade your things. When you get to the end of an upgrade track, in addition to giving you some points, it also gives you a special power that unlocks for all of your future turns. Also, each cat has a special ability that helps you for the turn that you're using it, so it's fun to try to choose and plan out what order you want to use the cats for your strategy. Unfortunately, you choose which cat you're using before you know where it started and what you're rolling for that turn, so all of your careful plans could be ruined by what you rolled. Overall, 9 Lives is a quick game where you're trying to make the most of your dice rolls and do things in the best order to get the most treasure and points. Bye!
This is a segment where I take a look at a board game based on an IP. I tell you if the IP and the mechanisms fit well together and whether it's a game you should check out or not. Today we're looking at the Secret Neighbor Party Game. And this is a social deduction game where you're trying to figure out who the neighbors are and who the kids are in order to open up these keys. The game works really, really well. The only thing that kind of took me out of the IP is that there are multiple secret neighbors, but you needed that in the game. There's no other characters in it, so this is going to work very well. The rest of the game fits the IP very well. The kids are trying to hide from the neighbor, which is exactly what you do in the game, and you're trying to accomplish the goals of turning those keys. You need to find out who your friends are because each kid can only turn the key once. So once I've opened one of the keys, I cannot open the other 2 that are required to win the game. Now we have to figure out who else is a kid, and you make one mistake and that neighbor gets you, you're in trouble and the game over, neighbors win. So the social deduction really works. I play this with my kids and their friends. I play this with gamers and my gaming group, and everybody's had a good time with it. The IP fits the mechanisms. The kids really feel that tension of getting away from the neighbor. And the neighbor is really trying to drill down who the kids are so that you don't vote for them to have the key. And that's kind of what you're doing here. Very, very fun game. One I highly, highly recommend you check out. And even if you don't know who Secret Neighbor is, I promise you that your children do, and they will have a great time with this game. Excellent choice.
Happy breakfast, everyone. With Halloween just around the corner, why not recommend a spooky game? Okay, let's put aside the obvious choices. Let's look at Welcome To. Perhaps not your sort of go-to scary game, unless you don't like maths. So this is an expansion, so let's check out some of the changes that the new pad has brought in to spookify the game. The twist with this one is that every time you fill a number with a house displaying a candy and ghost, you choose which to circle. When you've reached so many candies or ghosts, you can trade them in if you are first to do that amount. For example, 6 ghosts will get you to circle 2 swimming pools or use the biz action for free. Candies are straight points. Again, whoever's taken that one first is the only person to claim them. So these changes aren't groundbreakingly huge, but they add something that's not done on any of the other Welcome To expansions, and that's allow you to have sort of a comboed turn. You can write a number in, circle one of those things, and then trigger something else, be it swimming pools or points. And I really like that. It's sort of the one thing that's missing from Welcome To. And it's Halloween themed. You're collecting candy or sort of scary ghosts. Alright, it's not the most scary, but there you go. Welcome To Halloween Edition. What's this? Well, that's Curse of Strahd revamped. And yes, it's all in theme because it's a vampire themed D&D campaign, sort of adventure source book. This is a new premium box that I've unboxed on my YouTube channel, which it's East Gaming UK for now until I can think of a better name. Check it out, please subscribe if you enjoy, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Today we're taking a look at a game called Know Your Foe. This is Tom versus Bonacore. Fellas.
Roy, did you make a graphic returning champion?
Oh, it hurts. It stings. I'm going to be posing to each of you 4 questions with 3 choices. You, the one that is being posed the question, are going to pick the thing you'd rather hear of these 3 things, okay? You're going to rank them, in fact. So, for example, if I said, hey, we're about to sit down and play a game. You want to join us for blank? 1 is Ticket to Ride, 2 is Letters to Whitechapel, and 3 is Uno. You're going to rank those things. Those are your only choices. You have to rank them from the thing you'd rather hear to the next one to the thing you'd rather not hear, right? Or hear the least.
Okay.
Once you've got that down, you're going to write that to yourself. You're going to keep it secret for a moment. I'm also going to ask our audience, and I'm going to ask your opponent to see if your foe knows you as well as they should. If you are able to get inside your enemy's mind, you can defeat them from within. Sort of like a
Cobra Kai.
Like a pumpkin with a grenade in it, or something nasty like that. And then if you get their number 1, I'm going to give you a point. And if you get all 3 correctly ranked, I'm going to give you 3 points. I'm also going to see what the audience says, and if you beat your audience, I'm going to give you bonus points for that, okay? So if you know your opponent, your foe, better than the audience knows them. So here we go with the first one. This is going to be for you, Tom. Write this down to yourself while I give it to the audience, all right? Here it is. That's for the audience. The question is, hey, Tom.
Hey.
Dinner's on me. How about Italian, Korean, barbecue? Those are your 3 choices.
Tom,
rank those, please.
Tom's answer is yes. I know that. That's Tom's answer. It's not like he's not going to rank them.
Done. That was easy.
All right. Now I'm going to give the audience a little bit of time to vote here. Let them put in some choices. And then Steven is going to be picking what he thinks you answered. Again, Steven, if you get just his number 1, I'm going to give you a point if you mess up the other 2. If you get them all 3, though, I'm giving you 3 points.
So
all right?
It's Italian, Korean,
or just like barbecue.
Barbecue.
He didn't put shrimp there, but all right.
Hey, you can get, if any of these would logically have shrimp, Tom, then I guess you could have, do they have barbecue shrimp? Is that a thing?
Yes.
I guess shrimp on the Barbie is barbecue, right? Shrimp.
Yeah.
I guess that's a thing. It's Australian, yeah. All right. I think I'm pretty happy with my ranking over here, unless it changes by the time you're done answering. Bonacore.
All right.
What's your number? What's your number 1? What do you think his number 1 is?
So I've eaten a few meals with Tom, and like I said, Tom really likes to eat. And you kind of threw a curveball in there with Korean and barbecue. Interesting, but okay, because there's Korean barbecue, of course. But so I'm gonna go. What?
Korean barbecue is Korean, not barbecue. I would put them in 2 different categories.
Right. That's what I meant.
Okay. So, but all right. So I'm gonna go with barbecue as number 1.
Okay, let's stop right there. Actually, no. Go ahead and tell me the rest.
We all stopped.
Why am I stopping?
No, because I was going to check if you had number 1 right, but then if you do have number 1 right, if you do have number 1 wrong, then the rest are definitely wrong. So go ahead and tell me what they all are. What do you think it is?
2 is Korean.
Okay, barbecue, Korean.
Italian, of course, last.
And Italian. Now, here's what the audience said. The audience said Korean, Italian, barbecue.
Ooh.
I don't know the answers to these things, okay? But I suspect you are both wrong.
No.
Tom?
The audience is absolutely correct. Korean, Italian, barbecue.
Korean, Italian, barbecue is right. The audience gets 3 points for that.
If there's a restaurant in town in Korean, I'll go to that first. And I really do like Italian. Barbecue is good, but I like the other 2 much better.
Really?
There we go. All right, next up for Steven. Let me put this in the chat right here. And it says, "Hey, Steven, your Pandora is broken and will only play music from the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s.
Oh.
And it's all you can listen to." You go ahead and write down your choices there while Tom is thinking about this. I, of course, do mean the 1860s, the 1870s.
For me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ageism.
I don't even...
Do you want?
I had to get 1 in there. I apologize. You are particularly monumentally old, but, we won't talk about that.
Wow. Oh, my God. This is horrible.
You're also a very attractive man for your age.
It's just bad. I'm ready when you got to get some more people voting, I guess.
Okay, I got some votes going here. Tom, talk to me. What do you think he said?
All right, so I don't know. I know he likes music a lot. So this one was a tough one. So I put, for number 3, I'm putting 70s because I think he might not like disco that much. But the other 2 were really hard, so I finally just said he's old, so I put 60s and then 80s. Although
You're
I
saying
wonder,
60s, 80s, and then the 70s.
Yes, but I wonder if I might have those backwards. But
okay, now the audience has said the 70s at the top, then the 80s, and at the bottom, the 60s. Steven, what do you got?
So the answer actually is in that order: 60s, 70s, 80s. But this is like my stuff. So I almost could have gone in any order, but the 60s includes all that beginning of rock, the Beatles, the early parts of the Who and Zeppelin and all Cream and all that. Just wonderful stuff. The 70s, not disco 70s. That's like not music, but there was plenty of great. Elton John was all, he owned the 70s.
I knew you're a big Elton John fan.
Huge Elton John fan. Billy Joel, the beginning of Billy Joel in the 70s. Chicago. Oh, yeah, huge. And the 80s, I love the 80s. After the 80s, there hasn't been any good music made. So this is my music.
Come on now.
Right there.
Yeah,
this
I got
is
number
my
one.
music.
I got number one at
All right,
least.
so the audience was wrong entirely across the board, but Tom got your number one and mixed up 2 and 3. So that's 1 point for you, Tom.
I'll take it.
When you hang out with me and when you're in my car, this is what you're listening to. Nothing else but this. I'm just letting
you a
everybody know.
Taylor Swift CD for your birthday.
Yeah.
All right,
what?
here we go.
Yeah.
Next question for you, Tom. Let me throw that in the comments there. And it says, hey, Tom, we're making blank, and it's already in your mailbox. Here's what they're making. This is all fake, people. Calm down. Keyforge, the board game. Cosmic Encounter Legacy. And Cthulhu in Space. Those are your 3 games. One of those is already in your mailbox.
All right,
let's go ahead and take a look at what the audience is saying over here.
Nice choices.
Yeah,
thank you. Cool. All right, Steven.
Can I get
Tom
the designers
is
on
done
each
selecting.
Of these games?
What's that now?
Can I get the designers on each of these?
Yeah.
They're all designed by Roy Cannaday.
Let me call up Richard Garfield.
Hang on. Need to make some changes. Can I have
Return to
4?
sender. How do I do that? That's mean. Poor Roy.
You want me to write to Garfield? Get him moving on this? All right. Anyway. Ready?
All right. Let's see. Yeah, we are still getting some votes here. Go ahead, Steven. What do you think my man picked?
All right. Your man picked Cosmic Encounter Legacy as number 1, which, by the way, is a brilliant idea. Then Keyforge, the board game, and then Cthulhu in Space.
Got it. Well, as of right now, you are saying Cosmic, Keyforge, Cthulhu in Space, correct?
Correct.
And the audience agrees with you, though Cosmic Encounter Legacy did have 86% of the votes.
Well,
that is
actually
the same order. Tom, what do you got?
That is exactly right. Everyone got the answer right. Number 3 was very easy. Keyforge, the board game, is an interesting idea, but now Cosmic Encounter Legacy, I'm not like wanting this necessarily, but if they made it, I would want to play it.
Wouldn't that be like sick? Like the powers?
Maybe. I don't know how it would work.
Let's design it.
I have the pitch ready. I'll show it to you after the show.
you got a sell sheet? You got a sell sheet? And
I got a sell sheet. I do indeed.
Pitch it to me. You know what? I'm ready.
After this
I'm
is
ready
done.
to make investments in the board game industry again. I can make investments. Just not going to publish myself. I can do it.
All right. Next up. So, by the way, that was 3 points for you, Steven, but 3 points for your audience also. So, it was too obvious. It was too easy. That's the problem. You don't know your foe well enough to throw the audience off, I guess. All right. Let's go ahead and give him the next thing. And this one is for you, Steven. It says, hey, Steven, you're an attractive, eloquent man of refined taste. I got you this bottle of, is it gin, is it wine, or is it whiskey? These questions were written ahead of time, by the way. So, yes, I was calling you an attractive, eloquent man earlier this morning. Not right now. I've been thinking about.
He also is apparently calling you an alcoholic.
No.
We say refined.
I'm a refined. I obviously I enjoy these things on some level, some more than others, and Z knows that. So, do you know which ones?
Nah, I don't. I'm wildly guessing here.
Really? That's interesting that you have no idea.
You know your foe. How are you going to poison his drink if you don't know what he drinks?
Well, you didn't put beer on the list.
I did not. That would have been too easy.
I knew the beer one. I just don't know the other ones.
Interesting.
Interesting. Know your foe. Just like when Bonacore now is going to deliver a prototype of Cosmic Encounter Legacy to your mailbox, and it shall have some sort of weapon in it that when you open it, farts in your face or something.
Something like that. See, if you had been coming to my happy hours, Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern and Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, happy hour with the Podfather. If you want to come to those, you can. Anybody out there can do that. It's a really great thing to do. If you'd been coming, you probably would know the answer, at least part of the answer, or maybe even all the answer to this question.
All right, Tom, what do you got? What are you getting?
Stephen tends to think of himself as a super refined person, and he tries to portray that in life. So I put wine as number one.
Okay.
But we probably secretly, he's probably chugging down whiskey, so I put that for number two. And gin doesn't sound like something he knows what country it comes from, so I put that as number three.
Got it.
Was I able to fit in enough insults? Hang on, wait, don't show it yet. Don't show it yet because you got to wait for the audience.
Oh, yeah. All
right,
the
audience is done. They've voted. I got all their votes. And they actually match you, Tom. Exactly.
Oh,
it's wine and whiskey, though they are very close.
Correct. It is correct. Wine,
whiskey, gin is correct. Very well.
That
means 3 points.
Well, I was pretty sure you talk about wine a lot. Where would beer hit on the list?
So beer is my first love, and it still is my biggest.
Doesn't sound like an alcoholic at all.
My first love is my wife, but whatever.
Oof.
Oh, I take. Never mind. I won't. Paula, if it's you or never mind.
My first love.
Well, I'm in my room anyway. So yeah, no beer, love it. But I've been really getting into wine because I can't go out too much and get beer on tap is where you really want to drink it. And I've been getting into wine big time during the pandemic. My recycling bin is, well, it might be a bottle or two of empty bottles. Yeah.
Stop it.
If
you
here we go. Have an intervention.
There's nothing wrong with having a glass or two at night. Nothing wrong.
Here we go.
At breakfast. Okay.
No.
Whiskey? A whole glass of whiskey every night? What?
Teetotalers.
Here we go. No, I'm not. Come on. Okay. Hey, Tom.
Hey.
I really need your help. Is it first one, tuning a piano? Second one, changing a tire? Or third one, troubleshooting a printer?
So you want me to pick the one I'm most willing to do?
The one you'd rather hear. That's correct. Which one would you rather hear?
This one has got different concepts to go.
That's correct.
This
is not shallow questions, okay? This took several minutes to come up with.
I know Z knows this one.
No, one of them.
Well, I'll listen. So, okay, I will have to wait a second or two.
Yeah, give them a minute. They are voting fairly quickly. Everybody's on top of it now. But yeah, let's give them a moment.
Z knows the answer to this, so maybe I should change then, because if that means
no, I don't really know the answer
that's
to
why.
them all.
Oh, that's true. We're not friends, so that's obviously I wouldn't know. What does that mean?
I just told you. Friendship. Friendship is magic.
Thing. Friendship is magic. Yes, it is.
All
actually.
right, Stephen.
All right. So I'm going from a perspective of Tom is a helpful guy and nice.
Well, what would he rather hear?
Well, that's my thing. That the bottom line is that he would want to help, no matter how much I hate to say that he's a nice, helpful guy. So while if somebody said, "Hey, help me tune my piano," he would have to say, "I have no idea. I can't help," and he'd walk away. I think that would be the least thing he would want. And the printer is probably something he could help with. And a tire, well, he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. So I did.
What are you saying? So you're saying printer, tire,
piano.
That is also what the audience says. Troubleshoot a printer, changing a tire, tuning a piano. And I am fairly certain that is wrong.
Well, number 3 or number 872 would be changing a tire.
Right.
You would think with the amount of times I've had to change a tire now that I would know how to do it. Z has changed my tire twice, maybe 3 times. And
I haven't changed the tire.
Once we got stuck at cool stuff, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah, no, I hate it. I hate it every part of it. Printer is number 1, though. Tuning a piano, I don't know how to do, but I can tell you if the piano is in tune, so I could do at least that part of it. And I would at least try that before changing a tire.
Okay, now I understand that logic.
There you go.
Now
you got to write this down, Stephen.
I certainly could help.
Possible weapon? Write that down.
What? Say that again?
Piano wire is a possible weapon. I'm just saying. You need to know your folks.
Is this? Are we actually playing Deception Murder in Hong Kong?
Basically, you know.
So I grab the piano wire and sneak up behind Tom.
While drinking wine.
Drinking very fine wine. You should see what my wine collection
So basically, troubleshooting a printer was number one, right?
I have a nice 86 Barolo.
You and the audience both got 8 points. All right, here we go. Next up, we've got, let me copy this link, throw it up in there. Bam. Okay, this one is for Steven, of course, and it says, hey, Steven, we can go back in time and publish for the first time ever blank. Is it Dominion, War of the Ring, or Monopoly?
Wow.
So there's like different reasons in here. That's interesting.
That's right.
That is correct. Again, this took several minutes cooking in the old noggin. I'm like, how would I murder each of these fellas? Would it be with money stuffed with gasoline, set on fire? Perhaps piano wire? Would it be some sort of...
Can you repeat the question again?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was feeling murderous. All right. Okay, it is. Hey, Steven, we can go back in time and publish for the first time ever blank. Would you rather go back and be the one who published Monopoly, be the one who published War of the Ring, be the one who published Dominion?
So this is me potentially doing this.
Yeah,
okay. Well, I mean, like I don't know. Somebody came to me and said, "I'm gonna go do this." Which, okay, got it, all right.
No, it's you.
It might change things. Maybe not. Maybe not, Tom. Maybe not. Know your enemy.
All right. You done, Bonacor? You got it?
Yes. I think this became too easy, but okay.
Okay. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one because... No, I'm not changing. I'm just saying it's a tough one because of the different reasonings. Like with Monopoly, you could change the history of gaming maybe, but your love for War of the Ring is so strong. I put that as number one, but then I might be wrong. I'm picking Monopoly as number two just because I think the money aspect, even if you won't admit it to yourself, and then 3, Dominion. However, it's probably...
The funny thing is I wasn't, you know what? I might have changed it, come to think of it. Oh, jeez, I mean, Monopoly has made so much money.
Well, you were not thinking of the money, huh? Somehow you avoided thinking about the money.
I would be the CEO of Hasbro. I would be on that private jet. I would be going on my yacht to the islands. So, but I didn't.
Then you'd post it, and we'd run into problems.
But you wouldn't be here chatting with us, and that's.
I wouldn't know you like you. I want to talk to you. This is a great alternate history, I think, in my opinion.
Oh man, that's cold as ice.
Oh, so it was War of the Ring, Dominion, Monopoly, but
All right, so it's wrong for Tom. Tom's choice is wrong.
I got number one.
You got War of the Ring. That's right. And the audience did not get anything. In fact, they said Monopoly, Dominion, War of the Ring. Okay.
So is it nice to know that Bonacor is not thinking about the money? I wasn't. I mean, I literally wasn't because
it is nice. It's different. It's a different thing.
In order of the amount of money to be made, it's probably the exact opposite. It's Monopoly, definitely, without a doubt. Probably Dominion and then War of the Ring. Amount of money to be made.
All right, here we go. Tom, one final one for you and then one final one for Bonacor. Let's take a look. Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Due to this temporal accident, you'll have to spend the next week without any, is it ties? Is it hats? Or is it socks?
You're an evil man, Garcia.
What would you rather hear? Right? That's what you want to tell me. What would you rather not hear? That's number 3. What would you rather hear? That's number 1. Ties, hats, or socks. Gone.
I'm sorry. I had them reversed then. So the one that I don't mind missing the most is number 1.
That's correct. Yeah. What would you rather hear is the question always.
Okay.
Would you rather hear? And again, same thing for the audience. What would he rather hear? That's number 1. That's what you're voting on. Oh, Tom would be okay with this being gone for a week. All right, my audience is voting. They're lighting it up. It's a fairly good split, actually, which is good. Yeah. And Tom's got his locked in. And Steven, what do you think?
This is really hard because there's, again, all kinds of reasons why, and I don't know what other than looking at him, which is not much to look at, seeing, what he normally does.
Know your foe.
So this is hard. So I'm going to just say, tie is the least important. The hat is the second least important. Tough. But not having socks, I don't wear socks, but this guy wears socks. He wears shoes, he wears socks. Right now, I got bare feet. I don't wear socks. I put sandals when I go out. I think he likes his socks.
They're saying ties, hats, socks.
All right.
The internet says ties, number 1, but then they say socks and then hats.
Nah. Oh, wow. Wow. Very, very impressed, Mr. Bonacor. He is 100% correct. It is ties, hats, and socks. Because, look, I like hats.
Yep.
But I take my socks off when I get in bed, and that's it. I hate being barefoot. Especially here in Florida, there's all gitchy, goochie, crawlies, itchy, crawly, wallies. I don't like...
Crawly, colly, wallies. That is correct.
I take my socks off at night.
I'm going to keep doing this until you acknowledge the fact that I've got no socks on.
Stop!
Well, now the stream just went to PG-13. Thanks a lot.
All right, so Bonacor, you got 3 points for that. The audience got 1 for getting the number 1 answer, but moving the other 2.
You have any idea what the score is here so I can, win this game?
Yes, Steven, you have 7 points. Tom right now has 5.
Nice.
You're more in sync with the audience, though, than he is, and that might or might not give you bonus points. I don't know yet. Who cares? Let's do the last one.
Welcome to Board Game Breakfast, where the points don't matter.
Yes.
Okay, the last one, fellas, is for you, Steven, of course, and it is going to be as follows. Hey, Steven.
Yo.
Due to this temporal accident, every blank game has vanished from existence. What vanished? Was it every worker placement game has vanished from existence? Every roll and write game has vanished from existence? Or every cooperative game has vanished from existence? What would you rather hear? The one that hurts the least. The bottom is the one that hurts the most. Yes? What would you rather hear is number 1.
This is the hardest question ever. Really is.
That's why it's last. And that's why the ties and hat question was last. All right. What would you rather hear is number 1, folks. Again, what would he rather hear?
People are talking about how they don't know about my sock thing, but that's because socks don't normally come up in videos.
Unless you flash your feet at the camera, like some sort of...
My collection of socks is actually not too far off my ties. I almost never wear plain socks. I have, that's, if you ever want to get me a good gift, it's the funky socks.
All right.
So, Steven, you've got yours written down?
I do. Are you ready?
All right. Tom, what do you think he said? What would he rather see?
This is where I lose because I don't have a clue. However, I think that Mr. Bonacor is fairly competitive. So I put co-op as number 3. He published a lot of roll and write, so he has an unnatural love for them. So I put them as number 2. So I'm going to go with worker placement for number 1, although it hurts me to say that because that feels awful.
So wait, you're saying he's competitive, so he would not mind if cooperative games went away.
Oh, I'm sorry, right. I wrote it wrong. Co-op is number 1, roll and write's number 2, worker placement's number 3.
Yeah, I was about to question you on your logic there. But
no problem. Okay. Well, the internet is saying that the thing you would mind the least, so number 1, is roll and write. They're saying cooperative is number 2, and they're saying worker placement is 3. So you, the audience, and Tom agree on worker placement. They switch to the other 2. Steven?
So all y'all's wrong, but it's real, again, hardest question. None of these should not exist. This is huge. And, I mean, It was so hard. So I went with worker placement, followed by roll and write, followed co-op. I like co-ops quite a bit. I mean, yes, I'm competitive, but I love to play a good cooperative game because it's like more social.
Worker placement. You're a monster.
I'm a monster. Yes, I mean, right. If I got rid of that, if I could wish that away, it's horrible because there's so many great ones there. But
Tom. Now you know. Write this down. Hey, Steven, come on over for a cooperative game. When he opens the box, fart bomb. I don't know why that's not a thing, right?
I actually have a fart bomb here in the studio.
Fellas, points for Bonacor ended up being 7 points. The audience up against you, though, got 8.
No.
Okay. Points for Tom ended up being 3, 4, 5 points.
All right, I beat Tom. Good. Done.
The audience got 3 points. Okay, what does that mean? 7 points, but the audience got 8. 5 points, but the audience only got 3. I'm not sure what it means.
They know me better than they know him.
I don't know what it means.
That is what that means, yes. Okay, maybe it wasn't that hard to explain. It looks like Bonacor is the winner for this one. But if you do beat an audience, I'm giving you bonus points is the idea. Okay? Bonacor's audience beat him. No bonus points. But Tom did beat the general audience. That's a lot of people. So he gets the difference in points. 3, 5, that's 2 bonus points. That's also 7. It's a tie, you filthy animals. Don't you get it? You have to kill each other.
Package is already in the mail.
All right, fellas. That's it for Know Your Foe.
It's ridiculous, this game.
All righty, folks. Thank you. We're going to jump to some contributors, and then we'll close it out.
What is up? My name is Melissa McCack, and this is Smashing Buttons and Slamming Cards. This is a segment where I talk about a video game I love and I connect it to a board game I love. And this week, I want to talk about Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain is a video game where you are going through a story, I guess, and it's really sort of a mystery, and it's mind-bending, and it's kind of creepy and freaky all at the same time. But pretty much you're just kind of trying to solve this mystery, and there's different, like, stories that intertwine and everything, and it's really, really cool. It was one of the coolest games I had ever played for, I think it was the PlayStation 2. But anyway, I want to connect that to Chronicles of Crime. So Chronicles of Crime is also like the story-driven mystery that you are trying to solve. There's different scenarios in the game. It uses an app, and this was one of the coolest games that I've played virtually so far, because you could share your screen with everyone and have everybody like see what's going on in the crime scene, which I think is the best way to do it. Like actually project it and not just have one person looking at it and telling it to people. I think it's cooler when everybody gets to see the crime scene. But anyway, so yeah, you're going through it, and I wanted to connect that to Heavy Rain because of the mystery and that air of like creepiness sometimes in it. Like this game actually kind of like gives me chills a little bit when I'm like, oh, it was you know, like, and I kind of freak out, kind of just like in Heavy Rain. So anyway, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you could check out mine and my brother's channel called Room 51.
Hey guys, it's Deanna. Today I'm going to share with you another fun game you can play with your kids, and today I'm going to be talking about the game Blurble. Blurble is a game for 2 to 12 players ages 6 and up and takes about 30 minutes to play. To start the game, one player will turn a card face up and compete against the player on his or her left. The first person to say a word that begins with the same letter as the object on the card wins the card. Words may not be proper nouns, numbers, or contractions. Also, words may not be repeated once they are used in the game. The player who won the card draws the next card and faces off with one player at a time until he or she is defeated. If 2 players say a word at the same time, the other players vote on who won the card. The first player to collect a predetermined number of cards is the winner. In our family, we usually play until someone wins 10 cards. Blurble has been a really fun family game that we have all enjoyed playing, and I feel like it's fairly equally matched between the kids and the adults, because even though we have bigger vocabularies than the kids, sometimes my tongue gets tied and my kids end up winning the game just because they're quicker. Even though this game isn't explicitly an educational game, I do think there are opportunities throughout the game to talk about, how a word is spelled. For example, if the kids saw a picture of a kite and they said cat, then I can remind them, oh, cat starts with a C, this word starts with a K. So it's definitely provided some opportunities for me to talk about how certain words are spelled throughout the game. So that is the game Blurble. I hope you guys will check it out. That's gonna be it for today. I'll be back next time to share another educational game. Hope you enjoy the rest of Board Game Breakfast.
And we're back. So Mr. Bonagor had to rush off to do something. We went a little overtime with our game show and news segments. So he wanted us to express that he loved you all and, but he just had to get going.
Correct. And we love him as well.
That is it for another show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay tuned. We got some live plays happening at night. There's a lot of live plays this week. And tomorrow we'll be playing some spooky games. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, videos going up every day on the Dice Tower. Don't forget our contest. And try to win a copy of Asking for Troubles. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
Have fun giving me socks.